So we previously talked about high functioning and how that doesn't mean you're healthy. And I thought long and hard about this one, but I thought I'd put a personal lesson in just to ground it, really, give it some foundation, and give you, the viewers, an opportunity to understand a little bit more about me as well, so that you can understand the direction I'm coming from and the lessons learned. You see, there's something I see a lot in high performing people. From the outside, everything looks strong. They're showing up, they're working, they're training, they're delivering, but underneath that performance, the nervous system is running on stress. And I know that dynamic very well, because a few years ago I was living that myself. See, 5 or 6 years ago, life was under quite a bit of pressure. Business was difficult, post-COVID uncertainty was everywhere. And on a personal side of life, there was some really heavy things going on too. But you know what? And this proves the point. I kept functioning. Every day I turned up. I trained really hard. I stayed very disciplined and I kept moving forward. Possibly, from the outside, it looked strong. But looking back now with a lot more awareness, I can see something very important. I was high functioning, right? But I wasn't necessarily regulated. Training became my anchor during that period. Don't get me wrong, training is incredibly valuable. Movement helps the nervous system. It gives structure and it creates resilience. But there's a difference between supporting your nervous system and masking the stress that's underneath it, you see. And at the time I was pushing hard, showing up, keeping the routine, but the stress was still accumulating in the background. And that's something a lot of high performers miss. Because if the external output looks good, we assume everything internally must be fine. Unfortunately, the nervous system doesn't work like that. What I eventually learned, and what I now teach, is that functioning is not the same as regulation. You can perform at a high level and still be carrying chronic stress in the background. You can look disciplined, especially while your nervous system is running on cortisol. And over time, if that imbalance continues, something usually gives. Not always dramatically either. Sometimes just slowly. Fatigue, burnout, emotional exhaustion. And you see, that's why it's so important. That's why regulation matters. The goal isn't to stop performing. See, the goal is to build a system where performance and regulation work together, where discipline supports your nervous system instead of overriding it. That's a big part of what the equilibrium method is about. Not pushing harder, but building balance between output, recovery, and most importantly, nervous system stability. Because high functioning might look impressive, but real health always comes from regulation. I hope that helps. Subscribe, like, and comment. I'd be happy to chat about this. Be well, be safe.